1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very good. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. With me today is